Alrighty, so um, so for anyone that's watching, this is Vampire the Requiem Blood War. The basic premise behind this is that it's a vampire game in a small town that has some very strange mystic properties to it. Actually, I'll pull up the rules for that just so people can see that if they want to. Um, that's just the mechanics. There's other strange stuff way above and beyond that too. But anyway, it has a bunch of strange mystical properties that really enhance and encourage the use and learning of blood sorcery, and it also allows vampires to be here in higher numbers than a small town can normally support. The main reason for that is that the small river creek that goes through Kindred Creek is um, special. Um, once per night, vampires, as you can, I don't know, can you read that? The text is kind of small. If you can read, or if you can't read that, the creek can be drunk from by vampires once per night to basically cancel out the night-to-night blood loss, which is something that heavily cuts down on the amount of hunting that vampires need to do, meaning that more of them can be sustained by a smaller amount of people. But vampires, of course, are not the only ones attracted to strange places. A small concilium of mages have also settled into this town because of those strange properties that they themselves want to study. The initial meeting between the vampires and the mages, a few decades back, did not go particularly well. None of the higher ups really explained to any newcomers exactly what happened, other than to basically claim that the mages were jerks and don't want to work with us. Um, most smart kindred will take the declarations of the elders with a grain of salt, but that's all they really have to go on right now. And now the party, that's really not the right term, the coterie is a small group of the Circle of the Crone, which I didn't actually tell them they had to be circle. They all ended up making circle vampires. If you guys want to go ahead and give a basic description of your characters, that would be awesome.
I play Miranda. She's a Nosferatu. That, as Falco said, she's Circle of the Crone. She is also a bloodline that Falco will have to pronounce for me because I cannot pronounce it. That has a lot to that word. That has a lot to do with changelings. She's got a changeling friend named Leah that she met when she fell through the hedge. Got her bloodline.
All right, and I put her up on the screen for people to look over for a moment if they want. Should probably stop scrolling it because that makes it harder to read.
Though putting it all on the screen is
difficult because Tassie writes novels.
I cut it short.
Yeah, that doesn't even cover the bloodline.
Yeah, I didn't cover the bloodline at all, so.
All right, so who wants to go next? Jared, nice of you to volunteer.
yeah, I was just about to say something. Well, I play Charlie. Charlie grew up in Chicago and joined the Army at 18 and fought in World War II. While in Europe, he wound up becoming a vampire and joined the bloodline of Children of Morgan, which are basically the guardians of the Circle of the Crone. And after spending a while in England, he came back to the United States and wandered for a while before winding up in Kindred Creek. where he met Jeremy and Miranda.
Okie dokie. And I had you up on the screen for a moment there, and now, Donna, if you want to give your character's explanation.
I played Jeremy, who is originally from West Virginia, sometime after the Civil War. He decided he wanted to travel and eventually ended up in India, where he became a behest and learned his blood sorcery. And now he's back in the States, and
He's actually the one that owns the haven for the coterie.
Cool. That's good to know. Because I don't think you mentioned that to me yet.
It was mentioned in our chats, so you were able to see it, but you may not have paid attention to it.
We were talking about who had resources for what, and it came out that, Jeremy was the only one that had the money for a house, so.
Alrighty. I'm not sure how visible some of that small text is on the screen. There's not much on there yet, so I can probably just zoom in for now. There we go. We have the coterie house, and we have Elysium visible on the map. Other stuff will be added as it comes up. So yeah, you guys, your coterie house, however you came into it, you managed to get one fairly close to the river, though of course all of the best directly by the riverside places are owned by people that actually have city status. I don't think any of you bought any city status, right?
No.
Mm-mm. No. The only status I had is for circle.
Same.
see.
I have a question in the chat. No, it's not a video game. This is a tabletop role-playing game that I'm streaming for the sake of it. Yeah. So, where to begin? So give me a basic rundown of your guys' night to night. If nothing else happens, what are you typically doing?
Did you ever come up with a name or where the location of is where my character works?
No.
I don't know where this town red light district is yet.
Oh no, you can come up with the name of that yourself, and I'll place it somewhere on the map for you.
And wait to have a spot. Well, typical night, she would probably go down, do a drink from the river, and then go out and head to work for a couple of hours. She works at a BDSM club. It's kind of underground. Considering that we're in Wyoming, I don't think things are all that popular in that direction. So it's kind of hush-hush. But she would go there, work for a few hours, and then go to wherever the Circle of the Crone hanging and see if there's anything that needs done or catch up on news for the Circle. And then I'll eventually end up in Elysium.
All right. The Circle of the Crone doesn't really have a central area. Like every little coven has their own little coterie house, like you guys do, basically.
Okay.
And then, it's generally if the Circle needs to meet, someone decides to host there, more or less.
Okay. All right. So instead of going to something like that, she'd probably end up just going to Elysium then to see what ends up happening.
All right. And what about the rest of you?
Charlie would primarily just hang out around either the coterie house or Elysium, depending on what the others are doing.
I occasionally get a phone call from Miranda going, help.
Yeah.
poked a bear and it's attacking me again. Stop it.
That's the third time this week.
It's the same bear.
I
But it
don't
just looks,
think
it just
the
looks
bear
so
would
cuddly.
live through a second time.
I mean, it depends on how metaphorical the bear is here.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, Jeremy would also start out by going down and drinking from the river.
Yes, of course.
Right.
After that, he would, I guess he'd go to Elysium to try to start really networking in this town.
Alrighty. Okay, so basically, all of you are going to end up in Elysium. Alright, let me go ahead and pop that out, do show to players. Cool, that came up. I should probably expand that.
I still call unfair on the last rule of Elysium. For Circle of the Crowd members everywhere.
You are absolutely free to take up your grievances with the bishop who runs Elysium. I am sure he is happy to take into account the circle's disagreements with Elysium policy.
Does he have a comment box? So there's at least one a week.
You know, I don't really think he does keep a comment box. You kind of just have to catch him. All right.
Charlie, want to help me poke a bear?
I'll hang back and help if need be.
All right. So the three of you are in Elysium. There are a few other low-ranking, kindred that are around, just kind of mulling about. People you've probably seen before. Of note, though, you do notice one of the bodyguard ghouls of the prince hanging around by, one of the doors out of the main area of the temple towards the back, where you imagine that the offices are for the people that actually have, city positions and what have you. A couple of people are talking about that, wondering what the prince is doing here, because usually he only shows up, during court and other important events. Let me go ahead and throw him up there for you guys. Basic information about the prince that, most people, including you guys, would know is that he's not really the true power behind the throne. The Invictus is in charge here, technically, but no one has ever heard of any single instance where the prince has made a ruling that wasn't approved by the aforementioned bishop. Open secret is that the bishop is in charge. This is really a Lancea Sanctum city. Thankfully, because of the general conflict and hesitation with dealing with the awakened, they don't really turn their sights on the circle much. They look at you guys as blasphemers and heretics, but they don't care. They aren't going to. They don't start hostilities. At least nothing obvious, and they're plenty happy to have you guys in the front line.
We're a tool.
Right. Every bit of magical strength is worthwhile, is the general policy they've taken in Kindred and Creek. So, yeah, the ghoul is there, just kind of not even standing guard, just kind of sitting there waiting. He was probably told to wait outside. Other people are gossiping about it, wondering what's going on, if anything. So, what do you do?
I'm gonna walk up to the guard, the bodyguard.
All right. He gives you a curious look. Doesn't actually say anything yet.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Just kind of look past him, look at him again. Well, I think so.
Kind of, gives you a curious go on kind of look.
So what's going on?
The prince is talking with the bishop over a very important matter.
Oh, what would that be?
It's not my place to say.
But you know what it is.
It's not my place to say.
So you don't know what it is.
He basically reiterates the "it's not my place to say" thing if you continue asking similar questions along those lines.
Well, surely it's not. I mean, sharing with one person, really wouldn't be that bad, would it? Yeah. And try to roll persuasion here. Let's see how bad this backfires on me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me a second to minimize everything I have in the way. Any negatives?
No negatives, but he is going to have some bonuses to his resistance.
Okay.
Which will call... He'll be that many. Well, that is not right. I think my macro broke.
Bad macro.
Looks like the same one I've always used. Let me try that again. Dice. There we go. Oh, I must have put the wrong number in the again box. That would do it. Alright,
Yeah.
He looks to you and says, I guarantee the prince would have my head if even one single person knew something that he hadn't publicly announced.
She'd sigh. Okay, fine. Be that way. She'd go back over and look for Jeremy and Charlie, plop down between them. He is no fun.
No luck, I would guess.
Mm-mm.
Did you really expect to get any information?
No. She'd look like she had to think about that for a second, though.
Alright, are you gonna try anything else in the meantime?
No. I'm just going to sit there and stare. Active.
Alright. After a little while, another one of the prince's bodyguards, who looks remarkably similar to the first guy, but not quite siblings, but like they were both painted with the same generic bodyguard brush. You have to figure they must have been specifically dressed up that way to just look that archetypical. But yeah, he whispers to the first one that you would talk to, and he kind of looks over towards you guys, he smirks a bit, glancing at Miranda, and whispers back.
Smile, wave.
And the other guy heads back inside. within a few minutes after that, you see the prince himself walk out. The the second bodyguard was already in step with him, and the first bodyguard basically falls into step with him as soon as he steps out. Behind him, you can see the bishop himself holding his usual staff. Let me go ahead and pull him up for the view, if I can remember which window it is. Oops. I guess I could have just done show to players, and all of his stuff would have shown up. Alright, and he just kind of waits in the back and is looking over everyone. He has a polite sort of smile on his face. But yeah, the prince walks over to Miranda and says, with a charming enough sort of smile, I heard that you've volunteered to help us with the little bit of trouble that's come up. Looking to make your place within the city?
Always. So what's a little bit of trouble?
He smiles and, glances back to the guard who, gives a bit of a shrug, like he kind of expected you to already know what the trouble was. He says, I assumed you'd been given the details. There's...
No, but if you'd like me to get onto him, to point at the first guard, for not giving me all the details, that would be great.
No, I can handle that myself, I assure you. He goes on to say, anyway, the trouble then that you've agreed to help with, and I assume your little coterie here will help you out. We've heard that there is an unannounced sorcerer down, in the currently contested area of the creek. He gives you a basic description that tells you basically where I'm pinging on the map right now. Let me scribble that in real quick.
Okay, Sarah, so you should mute while typing.
What was that? Couldn't hear you over the typing.
Oh, both of you.
It does seem louder this time than it normally does.
Anyway, he says, that there's an unannounced sorcerer around that area. He says, unfortunately, it was a ghoul that went and found this out, and, well, you know how a lot of them are. He glances back even at his own guards at that. They really don't know the difference between a blood sorcerer and any other type of magic user. So I need someone to go and find out exactly who is settling in, so to speak. Give me a moment to type before you respond.
Sounds interesting.
Of course, if they are kindred, I would expect them to be heavily encouraged to come and meet with me, as is expected of any of you. And if it's something else, well, find out as much as you can, and I mean as much as you possibly can, and report back to me. Guys going to say anything?
Okay, I was in the middle of it. Okay. That doesn't sound too difficult. Can look at Jeremy. Charlie.
Like I said, sounds interesting.
That, polite smile remains, and he says, wonderful. I'll look forward to hearing about your results. I'll be here up to about an hour or so before sunrise. Please have the information for me by that point. And he kind of then gives you a a wave off kind of motion. Like,
Out of character. How long has Charlie known Miranda?
I don't know.
I
Up to you guys.
think I had said that I had been in town for like 5 years. Let me see.
So at least over a year. He would probably know that she's about to make a smart ass comment.
Yeah.
Whether or not he would like to do anything about it, that is up to you. She kind of look at the prince and like, we were sitting here first. As he kind of waved us off.
He kind of looks to you a moment. Let me check something really quick. Go ahead and roll me composure plus blood potency.
I'm gonna scoot away from her.
Just her, or
Can I actually click on blood potency and have it roll?
yes. Yeah, blood potency is a selectable.
Maybe? Ooh, unlike Primal Urge was.
Yes. Yeah, they actually did the vampire sheet correctly. And blood potency is even selectable as a third option.
2 successes. All right. He looks to you, and as he does, he kind of, suddenly comes across as, much more charming and likable, and you feel downright guilty about being such a smartass. Go ahead and grab the charmed condition from the condition card stack, or I can fish it out for you.
I'll dig it out.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
And I will put guilty on my sheet.
Just the regular one, right? Not persistent.
The persistent one. The regular one is the mage one, because they decided to name things the same. And she definitely did not get that one.
No. I hadn't looked at the difference. It was just...
I'll go ahead and expand that. And expand it again.
I'm just going to wait and see how big you get.
Expand it again. It's only so much bigger I can make it.
We've been through this before. Don't test him.
You dare question my power? I'll expand it until your game world is nothing but the condition card.
And you were wanting guilty as well, you said?
No, I'm saying she's just feeling guilty because all she wants right now is to make him happy and to feel better after what she did.
Ah, okay.
Damn charmed. Resolution: the vampire attempts to seriously harm you. That should be fun.
So basically he says, like, I'm sorry, what was that?
No, nothing. Good deal this way. Sorry. Gonna start heading towards the exit.
Charlie would just chuckle.
He smiles and he goes to head towards the back again. The bishop remains over in the corner, just sort of watching the other kindred here.
I will follow Charlie and Miranda out.
You're kind of quiet, Donna. Like volume-wise. I don't think Skype will let me manually alter that.
No.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm practically swallowing my mic.
Go to your volume mixer and see if Skype will let you turn it up there.
Well, yeah, but not not for just one person.
Yeah.
Skype's an all or nothing, unlike Discord.
Yeah. If Discord actually had good echo cancellation, I'd be using that.
You and your lack of wanting to wear a headset.
I was gonna say, it's like you could also just wear a headset.
I could also, shove a needle through my eye. I'm not going to do that. I don't like headsets.
You're talking to the wrong person for that.
True.
Yeah.
That was just the first thing that came to mind.
I get needles stuck in my eye. It's not really that bad.
That is what I meant.
Right then.
But
Anyway.
back on track.
Yep.
We head outside.
Mm-hmm. I assume you guys have a car or something, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I have a car.
Is it a nice car?
I would assume that we each have a mode of transportation, but
Yeah. I was just going to say, if Jeremy has a nice car, I'm going to ask to borrow. I'm going to ask to drive his car.
Jeremy has a nondescript car, so
yeah, I hadn't decided on what kind of car I had either.
Fair enough.
I have something functional. And I have to sneeze.
Actually, I would have a classic of some sort.
You're going to have a classic cab Mustang. Really, seriously.
Yeah.
In that case, I would ask to drive Charlie's car.
Yeah, but that would probably be a two-seater, so not so good for all three of us.
Not going to say what into my head.
Okay. Well, no. Most of the older ones did have a back seat, but I don't know. I'll have to decide later what kind. I guess we could take my car.
Okay.
And if you ask nicely, I'd say, sure, just be careful, and throw you the keys.
Smile.
All right.
Here to the speed limit, mostly.
Just throw you guys a quick beat for the progress towards Cassie's aspiration. Oh yeah, in case anyone's morbidly curious, we're using group beats for the most part, except we're also using blood beats, and that's being tracked individually. So the main chunk of experience gets shared, but improving their blood potency and blood sorcery will gain bonuses depending on how much they mess with the system. Alrighty. So yeah, you're driving basically right there then, or are you driving to the coterie house first to do any prep, or what's going on?
Probably do a little bit of prep. Go to the coterie house first and do a prep, since we don't know what we're going to be facing.
Hmm.
in that case, I'll take my car so I can park it at the coterie house instead of leaving it at Elysium.
Makes sense.
I'll just get it right back when I pick up my car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have to go back to Elysium anyway to report.
All right. So let me give a sheet.
That reminds me, I want to check something real quick and see if the Streamlabs bot works, or if I have to do something for that. Nope. Oh well. I'll play with that later. I had it set. Streamlabs lets you create a bot, but I thought it was built in and would automatically log on, but maybe you have to make an account for it like you'd have to do with standalone ones. I can mess with that later. But I originally gave it a command that it would let you do commands to basically get a link to the Rites of Damnation book, which is what we're using for Blood Sorcery. But yeah. So anyway, coterie house prep. What sort of prep are we talking?
I would take my shield. I always carry my collapsible sword, but
Because we don't know if we're going to need it or not, I am going to go ahead and to create that potion of healing, which comes off of it's a protection 3 ritual. So now walk me through how to do ritual.
Alrighty.
What am I rolling here?
So basically, we have to figure out ahead of time how much do you want it to heal and how long do you want it to last.
I just want the potion to last for the night. That way, if we need it at any point during the night, we have it. And probably heal at least 1 or 2 lethal.
Okie dokie. Alright. So that will mean, let's see, 1 or 2 lethal would be, potency is 1 plus the steps applied, and then you want it to last the night. Do you want to be able to make a potion for each of you?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be 2 steps on the scale. So basically what you're looking at here is going to be 2 dice of risk and minus 2 penalty since you have protection 3.
Okay, so
So
it's...
start with this is one of your learned rituals, right?
Correct.
Alright, so you're going to roll manipulation plus occult plus Kruak minus the 2 dice penalty.
Okay, and does my occult spec for rituals apply?
Yes, and you're going to also pay 3 vitae plus 1 vitae per potion since you're healing.
So what vitae at the time?
so 6 vitae.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody want to be a snack? All right. Do I get any bonus? Since it's not teamwork, do I get any bonuses for doing this at the altar or not?
No, but the altar will help with your risk roll, which we'll get to after this.
All right. So for right now, I'm rolling Kurak plus manipulation plus occult minus 1.
Minus 2.
Minus 2.
Well,
plus 1 for my occult.
Can't we actually improvise it and help?
If you have altar, yeah, you can.
Yep.
You do take a penalty if you don't meet the requirements. Give me a sec to double check on that. Base casting pool for an improvised ritual. So yeah, you guys would roll rolling whatever dice you do have, and okay, so you'll roll manipulation plus any protection dots you do have minus 2.
Okay. So I would roll manipulation. But this is a teamwork
You
bit,
don't.
so
The way it's set up is with altar, it's a special teamwork roll. You basically don't take most of the bonuses or penalties that she does.
okay, but how about Pack Alpha?
That will apply.
Okay. So I would have 8 again on manipulation. Two successes. Since my 2 dots, I didn't bother to do the 2 dots for protection, and then minus 2.
Right. Okay, so that means you have a net plus 1 to your roll, Tassie.
Are you helping too, Jeremy?
Attempted to.
Okay.
Though,
Yeah.
well, yeah. You would have had 8 again as well, but it wouldn't have mattered.
All right. So I have a plus 1 to my at this point.
Why does it only come out to a plus 1?
Because she had a minus 2, a plus 1, and a plus 2. The plus 2 is from you.
Oh, right. Never mind. I forgot that she had already had the... Yeah, I get it now. I
Now
thought
I'm confused. I mean, it's
I
like
thought you were
two, right?
saying, and you're at +1.
+1. Okay.
Basically, I negated the risk.
Right. I would have had 8 again on that because of Walter.
No,
No? Okay.
No,
All right.
I had 8 again from Pack Alpha.
but that's only for
Okay.
the team workers.
That's only for the assisters,
Okay.
not primary.
Okay. That makes sense. For anybody that does not know, this is actually my very first time playing Vampire.
Yep. And I made them learn a new blood sorcery system too, so I am a horrible person. But that's why I'm not complaining about having to walk them through everything. Okay, so that means that it is successful, but now we gotta do your risk roll. And so you just have 2 dice of risk from the advanced factor you use, but that is a learned ritual for you, right? Yeah, we already
Correct.
covered that, which means that subtracts from the base pool. Okay, so you actually don't need to roll risk
Woohoo!
because a learned ritual subtracts 3 from the base pool, and the base pool is what decides if you have to roll or not. Cool. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't explode in your face. Go ahead and describe how this ritual works, since this was a custom one. We have to make sure it fits your motifs.
What are the motifs for hierarchy? Basically, what's
Basically,
Go
how
ahead.
is the ritual Kruaki?
well, I didn't know if you wanted a list for motifs for people that aren't that don't have the book at home. Basically, what she would do is have a cauldron, and she would be speaking other languages, but she'd basically be chanting over it, and she would cut her arm make a slice in it along the vein for each of their names. So she'd make 3 slices and bleed into the cauldron, stirring it with a wand. Throw a few herbs in there just for flavor, rosemary, a little thyme. But yeah, basically doing it that way. And then once it's done, she'd put it in small glass vials and stopper them with probably metal lids.
Cool.
So.
All right, I'll throw you guys a beat for describing the ritual.
It's a personal beat for me? Woo-hoo.
No,
Right,
it's a group
No.
beat.
Oh, a group beat? Okay. Yeah, you don't have to keep track.
Yeah.
And then I would make sure my arm is healed. And then,
That's accounted for as part of how much pate you're spending.
oh, okay.
Right. And so
it's only one time a night that you can drink from the river, right?
Yes.
Yep, once per night.
Okay. I'm gonna need to go get food before the night's over.
Okay.
But yeah, so she would give 1 potion to Jeremy and 1 potion to Charlie, and tell them both that if they get things get a little hairy, then they should help a bit.
Right. And because that was part of a blood magic ritual, you're not going to risk addiction or anything if you drink the potions that are made out of her blood.
All right.
Alrighty. So were you guys doing anything during the hour it would take her to cast that? Well, I mean, obviously, Jeremy was helping. Or not Jeremy. Oh, wait, were you both
Jeremy
helping?
tried.
Oh, Jeremy tried
Yeah.
to help and failed. Never mind. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, you guys were just helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, an hour has gone by. It's still pretty early in the night. I can probably take down this Elysium thing. As you guys can see on the calendar, it is September, so night and day are approximately evenish right now. Let's bring that back up to the map. Cool. Alright. So, what do you do now?
Now we'll go ahead and decide which car we're taking. Probably whoever has the trunk space for the shield and everything. And head to the directions the prince gave us.
Okie dokie. As I noted on the map, while there's no road leading up to that spot, there are a bunch of dirt roads that lead to pretty much anywhere. So you can take mostly normal roads most of the way there, and then find a little bumpy dirt road. So you probably don't want to take a really good car there.
Does Jeremy have a truck? A nice little kind of pickup truck kind of thing? I don't know. I'm a coy, so I picture him having this nice little pickup truck.
He's got an SUV.
That'll work.
That's much more off-road than mine would be.
A 1969 Mustang?
Yeah.
All right. So, give me a drive roll, since the only dirt road is pretty close to the river, and it's not an easy road to traverse.
I'm not driving the SUV, so that
Whoever's
gets to be somebody
driving.
else.
I guess that means I'll have to drive it.
I mean, I could drive it too. It's up to you. I mean, it's your car, but whatever you would prefer.
I mean, if you have drive, you can feel free to drive it.
I have one dot of drive.
Okay.
Okay.
Any negatives?
Nope. Alrighty. As you start to get closer to the place, there's starting to be a little bit of rain, so there's some mud, and you kind of have to deal with the slipperiness, but it's not too big of a deal for you. You know, it takes you a little longer to get that last little distance than it normally would. As you pull up to the place that was mentioned, there's a small, basically a little wooden cottage of sorts. It looks like it must have been around for a few years, but nobody's mentioned anyone being there before.
I'm going to take a picture of the cottage and send it along with a note to Leah saying, I'm going on an adventure.
All right. She sends you a text back that says, "Let me know if anything fun happens."
And there's smiley face back.
All right. So you're at the cottage. It's still raining lightly.
How come? Because apparently I forgot to bookmark it, which I really thought I did. Can I have the link for my bloodline again?
It's in the Discord chat.
Oh, okay.
In the game-specific stuff. I put a link there specifically so I could grab it at a whim if I needed it.
Woohoo! That helps.
Dang, that's it.
I'm seriously having trouble keeping notes tonight. Okay.
Okay.
What are you looking up, Tassie?
I just wanted to have it open, and I couldn't remember if one of my tricks gave me Hedgegate sense.
Oh, gotcha. I don't remember which tricks you have, so I don't know.
Let me tell you which tricks I have. I have Haun's Gateway, Necropolis of Thorns, Kinning, and Fruits of Exploration.
Right. If you actively used kenning, that could probably tell
Yes,
you.
I'm actually going to go ahead and actively use kidding. So it costs one willpower, and my dice pool is humanity. Okay. Go over here. Willpower, and can I just click on humanity and get to roll that? Nope. Okay. So. So, one success?
That doesn't look like it's accounting for 10 again. Is it?
Nope.
No.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Could have just done simple roll.
Yeah, there is an option for just rolling dice.
And it's such a habit to do it that way that I didn't really think about it.
Then get the macro.
Well, then give me the macro.
Alrighty, one success. Okay, you basically get a tingling sensation that the area itself is supernatural in some way. You can't place exactly how, and you can't tell if there's anything else beyond whatever initial magic you detected with one success. Now, of course, if other people had specific abilities for studying magic.
Aspects.
I am looking at what I can do, okay?
Yeah, I'm the one that actually knew and used the auspic system, but with this character concept, I did not wind up taking it.
Here's George. I'm remembering to mute when I'm taking notes.
I should probably be keeping my log a bit better.
Isn't that always true for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me look at my devotion. Discord.
Basically, Donna, you'll spend Vitae to activate it, and then once you see the magic and powers, you can roll to study any specific one.
Okay, I will do that then.
Alright. And for anyone watching wondering what the hell I'm talking about, she has a converted version of the Vampire First Edition Devotion Arcane site, except it's not a clumsy mess.
Tell us your opinion, Falco, on how that first one worked.
Well, in First Edition, it didn't make it entirely clear exactly how it worked. Like, it gave it a roll, and it gave it like a 1 vitae per scene cost, even though the roll seemed to be for studying. So I just kind of split it up into, okay, vitae activates it, and then you basically use auspex to study the magic.
That makes sense.
So yeah. Jeremy activates that then?
Yes.
Okay. You notice not just, one bit of magic, but several of them kind of encircling the area. And then there is, how close are you guys getting to the cabin?
We probably would have driven up about 100 feet away, 150 feet away, but basically close enough that we could see it, but not be too close.
Mm-hmm.
And then gotten out and walked a little bit closer. And basically, I would assume during the walk is when they would be investigating.
Okay. For my notes, Falco, you said there was not just one type of magic. Did you say how many types there were?
More than you could detect with a 1 success roll. Because the way kenning works, which is what your bloodline borrows, is
Well, no, I was
one,
talking about Donna's role.
Oh,
Yes, I'm
well,
keeping
she should be asking about her.
Okay.
Like I said, there's multiple different bits of magic that you can see around the place.
Okay.
Basically one of them seems to cover the larger area, and then one of them seems more focused on the cabin itself. And there's something inside, but you can't really tell anything about that from this distance. If you want to study any of those, you would roll wits plus empathy plus auspex. Wait, no, intelligence plus empathy plus auspex. Because it'd be more akin to auspex too, since you're studying the magic itself, not the overall effect.
Okay, so aspects 2. I want to study the one that's on the area first. It's 2. So, what kind of questions can I ask now?
Right,
Do I know what sort of supernatural power it is?
Is that what you're going to ask?
Yes.
Okay.
Have I seen this supernatural power before? Basically.
Right. As you study the magic, you get a sense of something dark and primal far away that's helped empower it.
And what does the effect do?
Let's see how to put this. You see, well, more you get a feeling of like that primal otherness is seeped into the area, and it almost is like it's ready to latch on and support something.
Okay. Well, I will relay to them what I found out. And I guess I'll study the cabin.
Just raise an eyebrow. Wow. Watching and listening.
Alright, that didn't help me very much, but try the cabin. Since it's a separate effect. Here we go. What is this? I guess it could be a lot worse than getting 2 successes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Is this the same kind of supernatural power that's on the land? Or do I recognize it?
Yeah, you get the same basic sort of feeling of something far away empowering it.
Weird. Sorry, I was looking at the other optional questions here. So I guess I'll go with what does this effect do?
Alright, you have a feeling like the purely human conscious part of your mind wants to turn away from the area, but your beast and your overall nature are unaffected.
I will tell them that as well. And then I will say, so what's the plan? Are we going to just go up and knock on the door?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I mean, do either of you have a better idea?
Not really.
Sure. So I will walk up and knock on the door.
Alrighty. Let me check something really quick. Here it is. Okie dokie. Alright, the door's kind of quiet for a little while. Not that window. But then, you do hear footsteps inside, and, you know, with them getting closer, you can hear a heartbeat. And a man opens the door and... No, don't show to everyone. Hold on. I gotta put this in your journal, otherwise it's gonna show you the attached sheet like it's done before. Alright. But yeah, basically a late middle-aged looking man peeks out and looks you all over. Focuses more on Miranda since she was the one that did the actual knocking, and kind of watches her a bit. As she does that, Jeremy can see a bit of some sort of supernatural power surrounding his eyes. But, you know, as he's watching her, he asks, can I help you? Another thing to note is you feel not like a vampiric presence from him, but some other sort of predator beneath the surface. Not something you can place offhand.
Can I use Kinning on this man?
You can. It'll cost you another willpower or whatever.
Yep.
Just remember, kenning alone does little more than ping yes to supernatural unless you get an exceptional. Three successes. Alright. You detect that he definitely is supernatural. You detect the power that's being used by him that seems to be focused from his eyes, and you detect that there's some other power present inside, but you can't actually see it from where you are right now.
And you stare, she'll kind of pose a little bit. Kind of fluff hair a little bit. Hi. She'd look at Charlie and Jeremy. She didn't blend this far ahead. Enjoy investing in Girl Scout cookies.
Wait, she looks to them and what?
She just kind of looks at them like, oh, what do I say now? Yeah.
We were driving through the area and we hadn't ever noticed this cabin before. We were just wondering who would live all the way out here.
Alright, roll subterfuge.
Yeah, this will go great. Manipulation, I assume.
Yep.
Hey, I got a success.
T has that. He kind of, looks a little curious about that at first, but shrugs and says, well, my name's Kalen. Can't imagine a of particular interest to most of you.
I didn't hear what it says.
Phelan.
I updated his.
Well, how come you live out here on your own? It seems a little secluded.
I do want to study him with this power since is it still active?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll that first, and then he'll answer.
Okay, roll intelligence and occult to put 4 and 2 together and come up with werewolf.
You don't have enough numbers to put together yet without more information. All right.
Magic in the area.
So you're studying him or the magic he's using?
Well, I said him, so study him.
Okay, so you're actually using Auspex, not the power studying devotion. All right, well, ask your question.
Yeah, gotta come over here and see what these questions are.
Those are just suggestions for the most part. So you could say, is he a supernatural being, and have you seen one before?
Actually, that is one of the listed questions.
I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I used Auspex a lot with my last character.
That's what I will ask is this person a supernatural creature? And if I've seen him before, what is he?
All right, you see what looks like a rather large gold-colored ephemeral dragon interposed over his form.
I missed part of that.
It's a large gold-colored, like, ephemeral dragon that's interposed over his form.
Oh.
And based on your history, that is not something you'd recognize.
Yeah. I'm thinking that too.
However, if you want to roll, like, wits plus occult at a -3, you might be able to come up with some ideas.
I will do that. Nope, no luck.
Do you want to make that a dramatic failure?
Yeah.
Yes.
What was that?
Said, yes.
Yes? Okie dokie, let me mark that down. Alright, based on the way that the dragon thing was interposed over him, and just the general kind of feeling you all get from him, you've read before of things like spirits and other beings like that can possess someone and just kind of merge with them. You're pretty sure that's what he must be.
Okay, I will keep that to myself right now.
Don't want to just shout out, "Hey, he's possessed."
No, I'll tell them when we're alone again.
Makes sense. All right. Sorry. What was said to him before we went into the Auspexum? You had asked him.
Why do you live out here alone?
Oh, okay. He glances to Charlie next, then, and he shrugs and says, "It's quiet, it's out of the way," and he glances, over to the water and says, "Just really like the feel of the water nearby."
I can definitely understand that. It's a beautiful river.
He nods at that in, general agreement.
Miranda was like, I like the feel of your home. It seems rather primal.
He kind of, gives Miranda a curious look and, nods a little and says, "It's a little odd. I had some visitors earlier this evening, actually, that said something similar. It's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it?"
She'd hold up a hand and hold her fingers a little tiny bit apart. Her index finger just a little bit apart. I think we're not here to cause you problems, honest.
He nods again, says, "Then tell me, what do the Kindred want with me?"
Our Princess Nosy.
Giving up on any illusions of mystery.
I will smack Miranda in the arm.
She looked at him.
He smirks a bit and says,
Yeah.
"Well, that makes sense. If you'd care to tell me a little bit more about what you actually want, I'd be happy to invite you inside and have a little talk."
If you invite us inside, we're going to be able to come back out again, right?
"I assume so."
I don't think he could hold us against our will. Sounds safe enough to me.
You.
Oh, I could get you out.
I'd smile at him.
Sounds like a good idea.
He says, "Is that a yes?" And he kind of, steps back to motion that you can come inside.
Miranda would walk in.
I would move in as well.
Me too.
All right. As you all head inside, you notice that the cabin is like, for the most part, it's really simple. Like he has a, cruddy little half-natural bed. It's probably stuffed with hay or something. Little table for him to eat. It doesn't even have a TV or a computer that you can see. But he then has shelves and shelves of just the strangest little knickknacks. They all have a kind of occult bent to them, or they tend to be made out of like ornate, valuable materials. Some are a bit of both. Jeremy, you are able to see that no small number of those have some sort of magic or power on them. What you were seeing like through the window before was actually just kind of a combined glow, more or less.
Okay, I'm not going to examine each one.
If you want to roll Auspex 1, which is wits plus empathy plus Auspex, you could, ask some very general questions about the kind of stuff that's in the area.
Okay.
4 successes. With Auspex 1, that only gets you 1 question. Oh, I should update.
These questions make like no sense for what am I supposed to be looking at? I thought I was looking at the thingies.
Oh, yeah, the sample questions for Auspex 1 aren't going to be suitable for Arcane Sight. use the questions there as a basis, like kind of mingled with that. Like, are any of the powers here dangerous to me would be an example of that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking would be a good question.
And I will ask that question.
Alrighty. You get a sense like you kind of have like a nervous sense in your stomach whenever you look at the different objects, but it's more like just a general sensation that something could happen, not like any of it is reacting to you specifically.
Okay. Guess that's that for me.
He goes to sit down in a small chair and motions to the couch for you guys. The couch is, again, barely qualifying as a couch. It's more like a wooden bench with a blanket over it almost.
All right, I'll sit down.
And she'd kind of walk over and she'd have her hands tucked behind her back. So it's like, look, I'm not touching, but she'd be looking over the things on the shelf. Just kind of curiously.
He does speak up and say, "You're free to look, but please don't touch."
I wasn't planning on it.
He smiles at that. He's quiet and lets you enjoy looking everything over. He seems almost happy about it, even.
She would be good and not touch anything because she doesn't know what's going to possibly blow up in her face. So.
Charlie would just go sit down and look around from the couch.
Alrighty. Jeremy do anything else, or does he go to sit down too?
Oh, I said that Jeremy was going to sit down on the couch.
Did you? Sorry. I'm totally paying attention, I promise. Alright, so yeah, you all take a seat, and, once you're sat down, he says, I'd offer you a drink, but I really don't have anything appropriate at the moment, I'm afraid. So please.
What do you have that would be inappropriate?
Miranda smiled at that question.
He says, he kind of quirks a brow and says, I have some water and some alcohol of nondescript nature.
Out of character, but with Blush of Life? Blush of Health? What is it called in this game?
Yeah, Blush of Life, yeah.
Blush of Life. Can they actually drink alcohols?
Yeah, they'll just throw it up later.
You can hold it down and then throw it up later, yeah. To actually be affected by it, you would need to basically drink from a drunk person.
Okay. But if she's probably using Blush of Life anyway. So unless that costs
that costs a point of vitae, yeah. If you want to do that. And that's per scene, so.
Yeah. It's like, unless you get up to like level 2 of the...
Yeah, Coil of the Ascendant.
But
you guys aren't getting at that anytime
it lasts
soon.
for the day. No.
Can I be ordered to pull and circle the crowd? I think
No.
So you would want to kill itself from fighting. She kind of smiled, like, nondescript alcohol. That sounds interesting. I think I'll have some of that.
He kind of shrugs at that and goes over and pulls it out of the pantry. It doesn't even seem like it's refrigerated or anything. Pours into a small cup, and walks over and hands it to you. Sets the jug itself down by the side of his chair and settles back in his seat.
She'd sniff of it.
It smells incredibly strong. If you were mortal, a single cup of that would knock you the fuck out.
Did he like pour like a shot of it or like a finger?
It tastes decent
Enough to sniff.
Oh, to sniff at it. Sorry, I thought you said taste it.
No, I'm trying to decide if she would just down it, but did he give her enough to like sip at it or just a shot of it?
He gave you a glass of it.
Oh, jeez. Okay, she'd sip it.
All right. Not being immortal, you don't have the typical, gag reaction of, oh god, that's really strong alcohol, but, you can theoretically taste, quote unquote, that it is really strong alcohol.
She'd handcuffed to Jeremy and like, hey, tell me if this is moonshine.
I will push her hand away.
Proud at him. I really think it is.
Well, indescript alcohol out of a jug. That would certainly meet the description.
And she holds the glass out to Charlie.
He just kind of, patiently waits for you to finish studying the alcohol.
I would sniff at it.
Well, I am braver than both of the boys. She'd sip at it again.
I'm not bothering with vitae.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're not using the blush, you pretty much immediately puke stuff up.
Exactly. That's why it's like I'm not spending vitae. So
I did. So
yeah.
Right.
So much vitae. I'm really going to need to feed after this.
All right.
Charlie doesn't tend to use vitae if he can avoid it.
Understandable.
Got blood sorcery, but saving up for stuff like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I spent my share of that tonight for you two, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you for the nondescript alcohol.
He nods at that and says, so, what did your nosy prince want to know?
Basically, who was in the area?
Kind of, nods at that and looks to you like he doesn't believe that's the whole story.
He believed there was a magic user in the area. He just wanted to know more.
He nods again and, thinks for a moment and says, well, that's technically right.
Technically?
What's your art of choice?
So I'm trying to think of how he would put it to you guys. He says, well, I don't think it wise to go into too much detail, but my magic calls upon other forces to bring down effects into the world, to bring that sort of presence on the area. And kind of, gives the rest of you a look and says, what about you? Do you lot practice any sort of, magic? And he does like a quote finger thing with that.
It depends on how you would define magic, exactly, I suppose.
Well then, what definition of magic would you say that you conform to?
How did they basically they just call correct blood sorcery, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. Sorcery.
Yeah.
I can make interesting things.
He kind of, leans forward as you put it that way, make interesting things, and he says, "Really? What sorts of interesting things can you make?"
She pulled a little vial that she made earlier that night out of her pocket and pulled it up so they could see it.
He kind of holds out, his hand as if, wanting to take a closer look if you'll let him.
She would. She handed it to him.
All right. Let's see. Does he have anything that will actually let him study that?
Understand that.
Yes.
I have a character now. They're protected from the being addicted to my blood because they help with the ritual. If he drinks it, is there anything protecting him from it?
Basically, when
The fact that it is ritualized protects anyone from.
Right, unless the ritual is
Yeah.
specifically designed to, allow for that. If you use blood in the ritual, it loses the addictive properties because that power all goes to, the ritual itself and its effects.
Okay. That makes sense.
But of course, it doesn't actually work as normal vitae anymore either.
Yeah.
It just does what the ritual lets it do. Which in your case is, heal an undead being.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. He looks it over and he kind of looks like he, has some basic idea of the... Like, he looks like if you were reading a book that's technically English, but it's way above your level, that's the kind of expression he has trying to understand it.
Okay.
And not obviously it's not above his level so much, it's just outside of his wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
you get what I mean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Understood.
I'll be right back.
Alright. But yeah, he looks it over and hands it back and says, "It's interesting. Can you make anything more permanent?"
It would take a lot more time, personal energy, but theoretically, I can make permanent things. Yes. I'm currently working on a garden.
He kind of, gives you a curious, intrigued kind of look at that. Says, that definitely is interesting. Thinks a moment and says, the ones who came by earlier were kind of vague about what they could do. That being said, I sort of had an idea anyway. He kind of smiles at that. He looks to you again and says, I'd be willing to meet with your prince and perhaps come to some mutually beneficial arrangements if you could find me something a bit more permanent. It doesn't even have to...
Something new for your collection.
Exactly.
If you would like something a bit more permanent, I could probably do what I'm doing at home and make you a little bit of a fence that would watch things that come and go.
Gives you a curious look at that and says, that does sound like it would have its uses.
Of course, it wouldn't be able to grow overnight, but it'd be something that I'd be willing to work on for you. Like if you're willing and to come and say hello to our nosy friends.
He kind of gives an amused smirk at that and nods. And says, well, you can tell your prince that I'd be happy to make that sort of arrangement. Just let me know when works well for him. My schedule is, he kind of, twirls his hand around a bit and says, flexible.
We'll be happy to let him know. I do have a question. These knickknacks, did you make them, or did you just find them?
He, gives just long enough of, or he says, I, and then gives just enough of a long pause to make it noticeable. Found them.
She kind of nod.
Traded for some, collected some, acquired some. Am I correct?
He just kind of shrugs and smiles.
Miranda would smile.
Charlie as well.
I am back.
Welcome back. I have no idea why my keyboard squeaked when I moved it.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what the noise was.
My keyboard decided to squeak because I moved it slightly so that I could type because I pushed it out of my way. So I was leaning on my desk, so I started to pull it back so I could, get caught up in notes, and it decided it was going to squeak.
It's probably the rubberized anti-slip pads that are normally under the bottom.
Probably.
I need to step away for a minute, so,
Okay.
feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
I think he's actually a beast. But
Why
poor
would
Jeremy.
not let me mute myself?
Yeah.
my cat jumped up here so she can rub all over my desk.
Yeah, I think we probably lost our viewers. Because I would assume that, Falco may not count, so we may have one viewer.
I think Tassie's muted because I can hear her talking, but I can't really hear her.
I heard
Yeah.
mumbling.
Yes, I was muted because I'm taking notes, so I'm trying to get caught up on notes.
So what'd I miss?
I'm
Go ahead.
trying to remember when you left. He agreed to meet our nosy prince as long as we give him something permanent.
To add to his collection?
Yes. And then Tassie offered a hedge fence.
Hedge fence?
It's actually something that she can do as one of her rituals, with the creation rituals. She can create basically a plant that's aware of what's going on around it, so it can watch.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can't now.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I heard you mention viewers. The chat itself says we have a small handful of them.
Okay.
If anyone's there, you can feel free to say hi or ask us questions or anything while we're playing. We're not going to bite your head off or anything.
We only bite fast, nicely.
Yes, that's why we're all playing vampire.
Right. Right. So, is there anything else you guys bring up with him?
I can't think of anything at the moment.
I can't think of anything, especially since I haven't been updated on what I missed.
Oh, it basically looked like Jared said that he said he'd be willing to meet with the prince if we could offer him something more permanent than the violet blood I showed him.
That's right.
And then I told him that I could make him a fence that would things for him.
That's right. It felt bad on me.
Donna's echoing.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, if you guys don't have anything else to bring up, he'll kind of, make small talk with you and stuff like that for a while. But, eventually he'll start making hints like he has things to do and whatnot.
Alright, should tell him it was nice meeting him and that she looks forward to being in touch with him again so that they can let him know when their prince would like to meet.
He nods at that and says, yes, it was definitely interesting getting to meet all of you.
I believe that you gave us your name. I'm Miranda. She held out her hand.
He'll shake it.
I would give a quick nod or quick wave and say Charlie.
I will add Jeremy.
Yeah, he gives another nod at that and says, well, if you ever need anything or once you're ready to handle our arrangement, you know where to find me.
Should go ahead and wave and head out.
Yep. Follow up.
All right. As you head out, almost like with perfect timing, you get a text, or Miranda gets a text from Leah asking, "How did it go?"
So she'd tell her that she'd meet her later and give her all the details. It's a little long to text, but it was fun.
She sends back a smiley and says she's looking forward to it.
Once we're back in the SUV, I'll tell them. I'm not 100% certain, but I think he was possessed.
Possessed? Possessed by what?
Well, a dragon, I think.
Huh. We ran it. I told her head to one side, told her head to the other side. Huh.
Or spirit of a dragon.
Huh.
I don't know of anything dragon related, but maybe the prince would know more.
Maybe.
Or at least the bishop.
Few people think of the Invictus Prince as a master of occult knowledge.
Hence or at least the bishop.
Right. Okie dokie.
But can the Judenkainen, can they see Feymanes? I'm assuming so, but it doesn't say it outright.
I forget what I had. I could have sworn I'd mentioned that somewhere in there. Let me find the link. I think of nothing else you can when you use certain powers. Here we are. Game specific stuff, bloodline. If anyone's curious about this, let's change that to view and do copy. If anyone's curious about the weird Fey bloodline she has, I posted in chat. Alright. Now, what was I doing?
I know I get a Fey main.
In addition, any dwerger with at least a single dot of cantrips is capable of seeing a changeling's mane or otherwise seeing past the mask in all its forms. Clash of Wills is still required if the mask is strengthened. So yes, you can see Fey mains.
Okay, cool. Where did you see that? I probably read right over it and didn't
It's
even...
the last paragraph of the bloodline gift thing right above the chart that tells you how many tricks you get.
Oh, okay. Yep, I hadn't got that far yet. So, again. Yep. All right, awesome.
I knew I had mentioned it. I just couldn't remember everything offhand. Alrighty.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are you guys doing? Are you heading right back to Elysium or going back to the coterie house or hunting? Or...
Probably heading back. Well, Miranda would want to head back to Elysium so that she could tell the prince, hey, look, we set up, like, when you want to set up a meeting with this guy, we got him to come meet you. So then she can go hunting without having to worry about having a deadline that she's got to be back by to tell the prince.
Right. Yeah, your guys' deadline is basically an hour before sunrise, he had said.
Yeah.
And it is right now a few hours before sunrise.
But heading straight to Elysium is fine with me.
Yeah, me too.
Alrighty. Yeah, the rain is pretty much let up at this point, so you don't have too much trouble driving back along the dirt road and getting back
Was
up
it
the main streets.
raining just in that area?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
At least that's what it seemed to you. But yeah, you get back to Elysium without any real trouble. Inside there's, again, a couple Kindred milling about, probably different ones at this point. The bishop can be seen talking to someone over in the corner. The prince you don't see, but you do see his one of his bodyguards back, in that area again.
It kind of walk over to the bodyguard.
Gives you a curious look again.
Hello again. Can we speak to His Highness?
He kind of, gives a moment where he's very clearly milking the tiny bit of power he has as being able to answer for the princess's ghoul, just because of the impression you gave off to him. But he does, eventually take a deep breath and say, yes, he's right back that way, and he gives you basic directions through the somewhat decrepit hallways of this temple.
She would follow his directions. There we go. That's the correct word to find the prince.
All right. You head back to his little office type area. You notice that in addition to some fairly, typical expected office paraphernalia, there's noticeably one or two, Christian and especially Lancea Sanctum type, trinkets and imagery around there. But
I will try not to make my nose wrinkle obvious.
He does look up to you and says, "Oh, do you have news for me already?"
The gentleman's name is... He'd be happy to meet with you at your convenience.
I see. What did you learn about him? Is he kindred?
No.
He kind of raises an eyebrow and gives you a...
We believe he's the spirit of a gold dragon. Wait, you did say gold, right, Donna? Or did you say dragon?
Yeah, it's a gold color.
Just
dragon. Okay.
Oh,
So she's a spirit of dragon. A dragon.
He kind of blinks at that and says, "A spirit of a dragon."
Not order Dracul. A dragon. Scales, wings, whole 9 yards.
I see. You would think the ones I had, or you'd think the individual that first told me about him would have mentioned that.
Well, perhaps they're
Oh.
not as perceptive as we are.
He looks humanoid enough that it wouldn't stand
I
out.
see. You looked beneath the surface, so to speak, and that's what was there.
Mm.
And he kind of gives you a knowing smile, like now he gets it.
However, I did have to offer him something permanent, something interesting and permanent for him to agree to come visit you. So,
Kind of furrows his brow at that and says, "What did you offer him?"
something that I can do.
He nods at that and says, "Well, as long as you're not promising city resources to him without talking to me, that's fine."
He seems to be a collector of baubles of the arcane and interesting sort.
See, I'll have to talk with the bishop. He would know a bit more than I do about dragon spirits. And kind of look like he doesn't entirely believe that still.
But he is willing to meet with you.
Nods again. Says, "Well, did you discover anything else about him or that area? Do you know if the Awakened have spoken to him yet?"
He did say that some others who were less forthcoming spoke to him. My assumption is they would be the Awakened, since I doubt that your ghouls spoke to him directly.
They did not, no.
He seemed a little more interested in us since we were
Friendly.
a little friendly and at least a little more forthcoming.
He nods at that and says, "If you have any way to look into any Awakened connections there without causing us any trouble, that would be appreciated."
Hold on, I need to look up a name. It's not what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Isn't that Mary's job?
He shakes his head and says, "No, Mary is the ambassador. She talks to the Awakened when there are issues between us. I do not want to talk to the Awakened about this."
I see.
In case anyone was curious about Mary. Throw that up on screen. Right. Just kind of another mention for whatever handful of viewers we still have. Mary is the Kindred to Awakened quote-unquote ambassador. It is not a highly respected position because it's a very dangerous position. It's one people don't want. People don't want to be on the radar of the mages. But Mary is the most notable Carthian. There are not that many of them in town. And she drew the short straw while having enough ambition to not blatantly turn it down. So she usually deals with that. Anyway. Right. So he says, "Well, is there anything else in the meantime?"
Not that I can think of.
No.
"I see. Well, let me know as soon as you've learned anything else. Then. And his
Do you have
tone.
Do you have a preference of when you would want to meet with him?
Oh, yes.
Or would you rather us gather more information first?
Tell him that I'm available, and he kind of, opens up an app on his phone to check his schedule, and says, I'll be available on the 4th at around midnight. You guys can feel free to mark the calendar with that if you want.
I was moving to do that. Very well. We will pass along the message.
There's the calendar. All right. He nods at that and kind of gives you a go away kind of wave.
I would
Turn and go.
drop into a little curtsy and then follow them out.
Let's just update my document there, so that's
And
on the current events.
the curtsy is not nearly as sarcastic as it normally would be.
Yeah.
What?
I said she'd drop into a little curtsy and then follow the other two out.
Oh, the curtsy wasn't nearly as... Okay.
Yeah, nearly as sarcastic.
Right. Because, yes, you are still charmed.
Yeah.
I believe that let's see, he did get an exceptional. I don't know if I mentioned that to you.
No.
Well, he did get an exceptional, which means it lasts for a night per dot of blood potency. Which means for him...
5 nights.
No.
7. I'm going to be like this for a while.
Nope. 2 nights.
Oh, wow.
Hey, nice. I could take over being Prince.
He really is a little, like, chicken shit prince.
He has his tools.
Yes, but...
You mean he is?
But yeah, he is not an elder.
And when you aspiration, you become Prince of the city.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I think it'd be more of a headache than Miranda would be able to handle. So she'd go ahead and go out, look at Jeremy and Charlie. I mean, if you two don't need anything for the rest of the night, I'm going to go head to work and find a snack. Not particularly, maybe at the same time.
Go ahead.
Nod.
All right.
She'd wave bye.
Well, go ahead and put together, like, how are you going to go about feeding? Just basic seduction roll while working kind of thing?
Yeah, basic seduction while working thing. Which is probably usually how I get my food.
All right. So that will probably be...
manipulation, persuasion?
Yeah. So roll that, and basic success will get you 1 vessel's worth of blood. If you take a -2 penalty each, I think it was, you can get additional vessels.
Okay.
And then basically you get as much blood as you're willing to risk taking from them.
How many points is each person worth?
You can safely drink about 3 points from someone. After that, they're going to notice it, and if you take more than 7, they're going to probably die of blood loss.
Okay. All right, so this and then -2. All right, so we'll do, I'll take a -2 to go from 2 vessels.
All right. Yeah, you have a pretty successful night at work. You get a couple of clandestine clients that aren't about to question much of what happened, because that would involve, letting anyone else know what they're up to.
Admitting to it.
Right. So.
And I would take 3 from each.
Okay. So yeah, they're really just not going to say anything about the fact that they're a tiny bit lightheaded for the next couple days. So yeah, you get 6 vitae then.
Yep.
And they are quite happy with your work. Alright, what are the rest of you doing while she's working?
I don't know, I guess sharpening my sword. It's like, I really don't have anything that he'd be doing, so just hanging out around the house.
Or Elysium.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm going to scout out locations in our part of town.
Alright, scout out locations. Like what sort of locations?
For a cult?
Okay. Like a good cult house type thing, something
Yes.
that might be in the center of groups of people that might be open to that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Alright. And tell me a bit about the cult you're looking to be able to found eventually.
It's basically just a standard cult of Ganesha with a little bit of, Kindred style mysticism thrown in.
Right. Okay. There probably isn't a huge Hindu population in this town to begin with, but that doesn't mean you can't gather and convert people, especially to the more dark vampire style worship. So for finding a good location, do you want something that's like innately supernatural or just in a good place socially?
Innately supernatural would be good.
Okay. Let's do that as an extended wits plus occult roll. So basically figuring out a good location that likely, runs along the right ley lines or fonts of energy, that kind of stuff.
Okay, any modifiers?
Nah. Wow.
Holy!
6 successes. What do you... Oh, that's not enough on its own, but what exceptional option do you want?
I'll take a condition.
Condition?
Alrighty, let's get you informed for nexuses. That's the general term I used in the Blood Sorcery book, right?
I think so.
I believe so.
What I typically use. Yeah, supernatural nexus, because most blood sorcerers don't use the worm's nest terms that the Order use.
For rather obvious reasons.
Right. So yeah, informed nexus. Are you gathering that, or should I grab it for you?
Could you grab it for me?
I'll get it.
I'm almost there. I got it.
Okay.
Boop. Ba-doop. Ba-doop.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Ba-doop.
It's right there.
It's growing.
You'll find it in a second.
It will overlap everything in a second.
I was like all the way down on the calendar at the bottom.
So was I, but I had assumed he was growing it in the center.
Yeah, I started up there. I was getting there, but Anyway. So, go ahead and roll again.
Dang it.
Do you want to take a bad condition, or do you want to give up? Or you can use informed. Well, no, you technically don't get that until after the extended roll's done.
Bloody heck. I guess I'll give up for now.
Okie dokie.
That was going so well.
It was one roll.
Yeah, that went really well.
Yes, but it was one roll.
Okie dokie. So let's see. 2 rolls of that. That would have been about a half hour's time each. So you could start trying again and still probably have a little bit of time before
Okay.
Miranda's done working.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. You can have the condition you technically didn't earn since you gave up the extended action. Because technically you would get the condition when you succeeded with an exceptional success at the end.
Okay. So
So,
now I've got
yeah.
the condition.
Now you have that again. So go ahead and roll again. 3 successes. That gives you 10. Okie dokie then. You're able to find a location that has a sort of
Je ne sais quoi.
it has like a sort of creepy, fatalistic resonance to it. So it resonates in some way with like the kind of luck and stuff that a Ganesh cult might like, but it's not quite positive per se. But there are ways to, manipulate that over time. And we're gonna put that right here. So it's right outside of your. Whoops, let me move this so other people can see where I just put it. It's right outside of your guys' safe territory, but it's not anywhere you shouldn't be.
Is it for sale?
It's technically like an abandoned storefront. So it must be for sale by someone. You'll have to, go to town hall and figure that out. Which, good luck, because town hall is usually open during the day. So
Yeah.
hopefully one of you has a retainer or something.
If you want to ask me to ask Leah a favor, I'd be willing, but you owed me because I owe Leah.
Guess that's what I'm going to have to do because I did not buy a retainer.
I don't have Leah as a retainer. She's just my friend. So.
Right, she is just someone you know.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so yeah, you go and check that out and, discover that it's a quote-unquote abandoned right now. As you're doing that, Miranda, you're probably, getting done with work. You basically work there like part-time, right? So
right.
You need to have some of the night to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually work there 2 or 3 hours a night.
I guess I could have given you a bonus to your hunting for extra time spent, because it defaults to an hour. Oh well, we'll worry about that next time.
After that, I would probably, text Leah and ask her if she wants the details. And out of character, do you guys mind if do we normally allow other people into the coterie house? Am I allowed to bring Leah?
It's up to you guys.
I guess, Jeremy, since you own it.
How long have you been friends with Leah, and how long have I known Leah?
I've been friends with Leah since I became a whatever this bloodline is called again. Yeah, that word.
She probably doesn't hang around the whole group much. She typically likes meeting with
probably
you.
would prefer to.
Yeah, she said you guys have probably met her, but that's probably about it.
Right.
Okay, so I'd personally rather she not come to the coterie house.
Okay. All right. So I'd ask Leah if she where she'd like to meet up to get the details.
All right. It takes you a few minutes before you get a response, but Leah eventually sends back that there's little late night bar that would be perfect. I'll go ahead and circle and ping that area on the map, and I guess label that one. Ping. Bar, neutral ground.
He's pushing us further and further towards the line.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Getting to the ages there.
Right. Well, as I mentioned initially, the lines are less like defined, recognized territory and more reliable, safe areas.
Yeah.
The mages usually don't end up that far east poking at things, but you never know. But in the middle area, either side could be, and you might find sanctums or havens of either around there, etc. So, it's not like a neutral zone or anything like that.
Yeah, it's contested.
Right.
Okay. So she would go to, after work, she would send a text message to Jeremy and Charlie saying that she's going to go insert name of bar here. To talk to Leah if they need anything, give her a call.
That's what the bar is going to be named. Insert name here.
Cool.
Insert name here, bar. There we go. Now it's official.
I think the name of the place that
Let's make that a line instead. Sorry, go ahead.
the name of the place that Miranda works at is probably something like a really normal nondescript name that wouldn't catch a lot of attention. So, like Nora's or something like that.
Makes sense. I should probably send all this stuff to the map layer so I don't accidentally click it. And that circle can remain because I'll probably delete it later. Okay. Anyway.
So that's what she'd be doing.
Right. So you're going to be going to meet with Leah. Are the other two of you doing anything in the meantime?
Well, scouting didn't take nearly as long as I thought it might. What we need is a market where you can go and buy things like ghouls.
I can help with that. Well, technically I can help with that, but I can help with that.
I guess I'll just return to the coterie house for now.
Okay.
Do some rough sketches based on the size of the building. Shape. Yay, now I'm going to doodle.
Alright, okay, so in that case, Miranda, I assume you take your own not great car there.
Yeah.
Leah's already, sitting at, one of the corner tables. Combine those words there. She has some nondescript colorful drink that doesn't fit the aesthetic of the bar in her hand, and really doesn't fit her aesthetic either. But she's always seemed a little more open and friendly than makes sense for her appearance.
Kind of go over to the table and sit down, say hi.
She smiles at you and, and give you a hug if that's what you do.
Yeah.
And say,
Maybe a Nosferatu hug.
so how did your night go?
Interesting. I take it from the picture I sent. You've never seen the cottage before?
Not specifically, no.
Out here in the middle of nothing. Should give a general direction.
Right. She nods at that, vaguely understanding.
Anyway, like the guy in charge decided to get nosy, and because somebody else got nosy, there, and we met a guy named Kalen. So you should pause to see if the name is at all familiar to Leah.
She just kind of nods, doesn't really make it clear if she recognizes it or not. You could try rolling empathy if you wanted.
Sure.
Suppose I have to check her dice pool. Which would be those guys. As best you can tell, she's just kind of listening. Doesn't really seem to particularly ring a bell with her.
So, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of anybody being possessed by the spirit of a dragon? She'd be kind of talking softly.
She kind of looks around a bit at that, blinking, and says, I've heard of various shades and spirits being able to possess people. I've never heard of a dragon one doing that, but I guess it's possible. She looks rather intrigued by that.
Well, I promised him I'd do him a favor and plant some of my watch flowers for him. So the next time I go out, maybe you can come with me if you want to meet him. He collects interesting things, but I knew
she kind of just like instinctively furrows her brow. It collects interesting things.
Like baubles.
She nods at that. She says, well, maybe.
Well, the invict's there. But I just want to know if you'd ever heard of anything like that. I can tell that he's very primal, but I didn't get a good look at him. Jeremy says that he's possessed by a dragon.
She nods and says, and Jeremy is one of your group, right? The one I met that one time?
Right, that one.
Right.
The one's to the other side of the Hatfields and McCoys.
She nods again. She says, well, I'll think about it.
Okay. But other than that, it wasn't all that interesting. I mean, he had some interesting things on his shelves, but... How does, is it Leah or Leah?
Leah.
Yes. Yeah. How does she normally feel about hearing about my job?
Your actual, part-time job?
Yes.
She probably doesn't mind if it's talked about if there's something interesting, that goes along with it, but it's not something she typically seems to find much interest in if it's just talking about typical day-to-day job activities.
Yeah. Okay. So she's not one of the ones that wants the details kind of thing. Okay.
Right.
All right. Just making sure. But that's basically it, really. It's been kind of a dull night. I thought going into a spooky cabin, like out in the woods in the middle of the night, would be far more entertaining.
It's a shame, though. Again, that dragon bit is interesting if it's true.
I knew it wasn't like you because then I would have been able to see it. So I knew it wasn't that sort of dragon.
She nods again at that. Says, so, well, I can do a little bit of research. I do have a small library about that kind of thing.
Like that would be
I do find myself curious.
Like that would be perfect, actually. Like and if you find anything that, like, I'm good for returning the favor if we find out anything interesting.
She nods at that and smiles.
So basically, she's just spend a little bit of time with talking to Leah, and then go back to the coterie house.
Makes sense. Basically small talk stuff after that.
Yep.
Oh, do you ask her about?
Oh, yeah. Would Jeremy have contacted Miranda about getting Leah to do the favor? Donna?
Probably send a text by now.
Yeah. So when she got the text, she'd be like, would you be willing to do a favor for me?
She says, depends on the favor.
I need somebody to go to the city courthouse and look up and see who owns the storefront.
She says, I guess I have time for that.
And she'd go ahead and give her the address.
She'll say, if you want me to look into purchasing it, I'll obviously need the money ahead of time.
Yep. I will make sure that...
I guess you'll probably need to have him sign something anyway.
Yeah.
She shrugs.
I mean, I don't know what all goes into buying property, but I'm figuring they'll send you the paperwork. They'll send the paperwork with you, and then you can just give it to me, and I'll give it to him, or you can meet up and give it to him, or whatever.
She nods at that. Says, that's fine. I'll swing by and make sure there's no complications for that.
Thank you, Leah.
She smiles again.
Basically, it's, chit chat with her, and then head back to the coterie house.
Okie dokie.
I would, when I got there, find one of my watch plants that I have the ritual for, and replant a sprig of it so that I can take it to Kalen's and replant it again and do the ritual there for him to get the plant to be what it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do.
Gotcha. Ugh, sorry.
No problem. And after that, I would find Jeremy and tell him that Leah doesn't have a problem doing that. She'll look into it for him.
Excellent.
Are you going to have Jeremy mention the thing about looking for a place to buy ghouls? Because, have a take us all into the hedge. That would be fun.
I mean, if they were going to sit and talk for a while, it might come up.
She shouldn't. Go find Jeremy, too. Or not Jeremy,
Charlie.
Charlie. Yeah, Charlie. Tell him to stop stealing, polishing his swords.
Gross.
Snicker about it. Did we lose Jared?
No, I had muted myself when I was sneezing. I'd probably just be in the living room watching late night infomercials.
Why are you watching? Miranda would be like, "Why are you watching infomercial?"
Why not?
I guess as long as you're entertained.
They're funny.
She pat. Like, okay, if you say so. And they go, fine. Jeremy, ask him how his. Like, I'm figuring, has he mentioned his desire to form a cult to the rest of us before?
No, not yet.
And so she's like, so why are you interested in storefronts?
It's for a long-term project.
Well, Leah doesn't have a problem with going and checking and seeing who's selling it for you.
Good.
She didn't. Oh, I also told her a little bit about Kaylin. She says she's never heard of a dragon possessing anyone before. And she's willing to do a little bit more research for us.
Well, it's not just dragons, it's just a dragon in his case.
Well, that's what I meant. She's never heard of any dragon possessing anyone before.
On the
She said she'd look into it because she was curious. I'm taking notes a long time ago. Oops.
All right. Should update my notes again. Okay. Is there anything else you guys do before this night's day sleep?
No.
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 What was that? Was that the
My
keyboard
Her
again?
keyboard.
Gotcha. All right. So, suppose I can go ahead and push that marker forward. To note, vampires do not gain a point of willpower for sleeping.
I are sad. I need
Yep.
to go do some.
Right. But you do get willpower for stuff like interacting with your touchstone significantly, and then obviously the other methods like your mask and dirge.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like,
So since I spent a long time, since I spent a while talking to Leah, do I get to choose my touchstone?
yeah, that would get you a willpower.
Cool.
Let's see. Beat for that. Beat for that. I'm just making sure I'm caught up on everything I need to give you beats for. Alright. So, it is the next evening. What do you do?
Did the prince say where he wanted to meet? Like, did he want us to bring Kaylin to Elysium?
No, I think the basic idea you got is that the prince would head down there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Probably with no small amount of backup.
Yeah.
You know, in the wings.
So how are we going to go about finding out if the Awakened have also contacted Kaylin?
Oh, we could just ask him about the other people that came to see him.
Yeah, I need to go and start planting that plant anyway. So
He's actually been relatively forthcoming with us, so.
Yeah.
And it was because of sort of honesty.
Sort of honesty. TM.
go team honesty.
I can't
All right.
do that.
I mean, I lied to him and he played along, and then, but we didn't try and hide it once he called us Kindred.
And I can vouch for that. Okay. So the first thing I do is probably go down to the.
Go down to what?
And get a drink from the river.
Well, yes, I think
right.
it's basically assumed that we do that each night.
Right.
I'm not going to assume that Falco assumes that we do something, because then he went and the one time that he's not assuming that he's assuming that we didn't do it because we didn't say it.
I'll assume that if you have. I'll assume that if you have, freedom at the start of a given night. Like
yeah, but basically, if the coterie house is not being invaded.
Right. If you're not in a siege or in another city or in someone's basement.
It can be fun. Alright. So yes. Then I would tell Jeremy and Charlie that I'm going to take the and go plant it for Kaylin. Ask if they want to come with.
I'll come with you.
Yeah.
Right. What's the ritual you're using for this again?
It's sort of my learned one. Watcher's Fence. Creation 2 creates a fence of plants that watch people.
Right.
It's number 6 in the list.
Right. But you don't have divination, so they basically just watch of their own accord.
Yep. Hey, it's been there since I created it. You could have told me I was wrong.
No, I told you that much already.
Yeah.
They can't inherently let you know anything unless you have divination. But yeah, they can sit there and watch stuff, and then you might be able to learn what they watched by, having someone use auspex on them or something similar.
Yeah. Well, all I told them that they did was watch people, so
Yep.
I didn't lie.
Okie dokie.
So, like the people walk up, it feels like our fence is watching them, and I figure that's most of the time that's enough to keep people from coming up to our doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a mortal deterrent.
Yeah, which is what it was designed to be. So.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you dig up one of those plants to use as the basis for your ritual, and head down to Kaylin's then?
Yep. It's a cute little snapdragon.
Okie dokie. Alright, those guys. Okay. So yeah. You make your way down there. Cabin seems just as dark and foreboding as normal. It's not raining.
Yay, not raining.
So do you just knock on the door, or?
No.
She said yes.
Okay. Alright, yeah, you knock on the door. It takes a minute, but eventually Kaylin opens the door and looks out at you and offers you a slight bit of a smile and says it's good to see you again, Miranda.
Thank you. I brought the plant to start planting.
He nods and, he takes a few moments to look it over and says, probably be best out in the back along that way, and he, points out a window and gives you a basic idea of where it would be most useful.
Okay, so I would head out that direction to go plant it. And Prince would like to meet with you at midnight tomorrow.
He nods at that and says, alright, where did he want to meet?
He didn't really say, but we're kind of figured that he would want to come here.
He nods at that and says, I suppose that's fine. I'm not big on traveling into town anyway.
Best of both worlds, then.
Okay, so for this ritual, since I want it to be permanent.
Yep. This is a creation 2 learned ritual, right?
Correct.
Alright. So basically you just want it to be permanent. Probably how big of an area are you making the fence?
And this is why I need a climbing plant. I should have brought kudzu instead of a snapdragon.
Yeah, that would kind of potentially take care of it itself.
Yeah. For now, we'll just kind of do snapdragons aren't big plants, so we'll just kind of start with, kind of a 5x5 area. And then if I can bring other plants out and do it again, or if you want it to cover the entire fence.
Like 5 feet by 5 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be about area of about, well, I guess 1 yard if it's just 5 by 5. So don't need any additional steps there. It can actually be slightly bigger than that. If you're making it like a fence, it can be spread out a bit more too.
Okay, so we would probably about do it 10 foot long.
Because yeah, the default scale for when you're doing an area is a 1 yard radius. So
okay,
for just
feet,
a group of plants like this, we're going to do area instead of target based.
Okay.
The plants.
So I probably would have brought enough to.
You only need the one, and that's only if it's part of how your ritual works, since it's a creation ritual.
Yeah, it is part of how okay.
All right, so let's walk through this just to get the logic into your head. You want the potency. These aren't doing anything specific, so a basic default potency of 1 will be fine for you. Duration you want to be permanent. So a permanent ritual needs 5 steps and 3 dice total of risk.
Okay.
And so 5 steps means that, let's see, you have creation 3 or 2?
2.
2, right, because you have protect. Okay, so that means 4 steps over. So you're at a -8 penalty so far with 3 dice of risk.
Ouch. Okay.
Yep, but there's ways we can build up that dice pool.
Okay.
Right. And then the range, you don't need anything special there, so touch range is fine. You're planting it where you're planting it. Scale we already covered, you'll be fine with the default. Size, the plants aren't going to be bigger than size 5 each.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, so that'll be fine. Which means that, yeah, we've got a -8 penalty to deal with. Now, if we go to the actual dice pool calculation, you'll see there's a bunch of nice suggested positive modifiers here. One thing, you are going to have a +1 available because of this area being a nexus. Even if it's one you don't have the merit for. Let's see, you don't have a blood tie with the plants that you haven't made yet. You can spend extra vitae if you want, up to 3 for 3 dice that way, but you're going to be spending 2 vitae by default here. So if you spent 5, you would have +3 dice.
I'll spend 5.
Okay. So that's 4, so we're down to a -4 penalty total. If you want to take extra time instead of a half hour, would be your default for a learned ritual. If you multiply that, you can get a +1 die for each additional amount of time. So an hour would be +1 die, an hour and a half would be 2 dice, etc. Up to +5 total.
We can spend 2 hours doing it. That'll give me another +2 dice.
So that means if I'm. Wait, I lost track. No, I didn't lose track. You're
2 hours.
-1 total now.
2 hours would be 3 dice, so -1. Right. You could do it 2.5 hours, or actually you could do it for 3 hours and then be at +1.
Nah, we don't want to spend 3 hours doing it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you'll be at -1, which your specialty will cancel out. So since it's a learned ritual, again, manipulation plus occult plus Kurak, and then we will deal with risk, which I think you'll be fine on, actually. So
Manipulation plus
occult plus
uncheck
Kurak.
wits. And no modifiers. So.
No modifiers after we've taken care of everything.
2 successes.
Cool. And that is all you need then. So yeah, go ahead and tell me about how this ritual works, since it's a little different than the one that was in the book.
Basically what she would do is she would dig a hole in the ground and cut her arm, and as she's planting, and basically bleed into the hole as she's replanting the plants and coat the plant with some of the blood, and basically chanting over that as anathema of the ritual dagger to go ahead and cut her arm, and would use that to cut the plant too, so it can form new roots into the blood.
All right. Okay, well, your ritual is successful. As you finish, the plant takes root, and then just new ones start cropping up out of nowhere, becoming definitely larger than normal and kind of wriggling unnaturally. They almost look like snapdragons are just like basic flowers by default, right? Like they're not anything.
Yeah, they're not like Venus flytraps.
Yeah, the way the like petals of the flowers look, it almost looks like you would expect teeth to be forming in them, but not quite. Just something about them looks hungry.
Yep.
They would be just as happy if it rained blood on them as water.
Yeah, and they come in all sorts of different colors, so each different color.
I have to use the bathroom again real quick. I've been trying to hold it. I'll be right back.
Well, don't do that. That's not good for you. All right. What I was saying was part of the fence around the coterie house does have this too, but part of those flowers are Venus flytraps.
Oh, okay.
Which eventually I plan to make bigger, and when I get divination and other stuff, or creation 3, I'll make them where they can eat people that go prowling around when they shouldn't be.
No divination.
Cool. I don't know if we can work on it together though.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Okay.
back.
I'm
So
sure
what?
I'm sure I asked this question before, but I forgot the answer. Since Donna's got divination and I have creation, can we work together to make the plants more sentient?
No, especially not since she's an entirely different type of sorcery right now.
Okay.
One other thing to note, note this ritual somewhere on your sheet that you have this under control at the moment, because you do have to keep track of how many rituals you have. It starts becoming more dangerous if you keep a ton of them active without spending... you can spend willpower dots to basically permanently leave a ritual out of your control and not worry about it anymore, but other than that,
So
you
a
have to keep
permanent
track.
ritual is still under your control?
Yes, you can dismiss it at any time too.
Can I assume that the flowers around the fence around the house is one that I have spent a willpower on in the past?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Since they don't really do much.
Yeah, at this point, they just wriggle at people and make them uncomfortable.
Feel creeped out.
Yep.
I wonder, I see some bots on the list. I wonder if that'll work yet. Nope. Oh well. It was worth a try. Anyway. So So yeah, the whole time that you are casting that, Kaylin is watching you rather curiously. And once you seem to be finished, he'll actually come out to start looking the plants over.
Should let him.
She'd better let him. It's his yard.
Yeah, it's his property, so.
Yeah, he says, these are definitely unique looking flowers.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Basically, they're not going to do much other than make people feel stared at this point, but I found that that's enough to keep most people away.
He nods at that. He says, yes, I can imagine it's a decent deterrent.
Speaking of people, you had commented last night about your other visitors.
Oh, did Jeremy go with her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Jeremy and Charlie both went.
Yeah, we had all.
Oh, I thought it was just Miranda and they were. Okay.
No.
That's fine. I just was surprised when suddenly you started talking as if you were there.
Yeah.
I must have missed
Well,
that.
we had both said that we had gone with.
It's cool. I'm slightly tired, so I miss little details.
Okay.
Alright. So yeah, go ahead, continue.
Sorry, I'm to a certain degree lost my train of thought of how I was going to word it. You had commented on having some other visitors. Do you mind if I ask who they were, or if you know anything of them?
I make it a policy not to gossip much.
Of course. We just want to make sure that everything's safe for the nosy prince.
Nothing we talked about should have any effect on you or your prince. I can tell you that much.
Okay. Well, thank you for being forthcoming with what you could.
He nods again. There we go. Nice close track of everything that's happening on my very detailed log.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One thing that's nice and cool if you're looking at the stream, that text on the right, you can actually link it to a file. So I actually have just a text document on my computer, and I can update that without having to go and try and mess with OBS while it's in the middle of a stream. I just hit save and it updates.
Nice.
Yeah. But I don't need to update that right now, do I? Not really. That's just to keep track of that's just your quest journal. And yeah, in the future, I'm going to remove the summary up top, and it'll be a summary of the last session. But since this was the first session, it's a summary of what the game is. Anyway. So yeah, do you guys linger around and continue talking to him at all, or you finish up your work and head out?
Probably finish up the work and head out.
Alrighty.
Since I have to go and replenish the blood I spent. What?
I said because you said
I was going to say something, I completely forgot what I was going to say, so.
You said something about blood.
Oh yeah, I need to go to work so I can replenish the blood that I just spent.
Gotcha. Well, you can definitely go to work.
I will.
You can make the same roll again.
I would invite Charlie and Jeremy along, see if they want to come watch.
Yeah, no thank you.
Neither one of you are any fun.
Is Donna muted? Because I heard like a
think she
vague
is.
murmur.
Yeah, I was muted. I said no thanks.
Alrighty. Oh, you head to work and you can go ahead and make your hunting roll. What do you other two people do? Words.
Well, now how are we going to find out whether or not he visited mages, since he's not going to actually come out and say it?
Why did you roll twice? Oh,
You're muted.
Never mind. Yeah, that was a correct one.
Yeah, the first one had Kura in it.
Oh, well,
So I rolled.
you know, as a general rule, you can just cut off the extra dice and call it good.
Oh.
So you would have been fine.
Okay. That'll work then.
I'm not going to be mean and make you fail.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, again, you do manage one customer. Or, yeah, you didn't take any penalties, so.
Yep. So we'll take 3 from him.
Yep, a whole mess of crown. We have Doll in the chat.
Hello.
Okay, so yeah, you're able to take 3 blood without any trouble. Okay. So yeah, the other 2 of you said you weren't doing anything specific? Or you're just pondering ways to look into things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well, ponder away. It's up to you guys how you want to handle it at this point. Oh, Leah will, while you're working, send you a text message saying that she, has the papers and stuff for whenever you want to pick those up.
So she'd send a text message from to Jeremy between clients, like, "Hey, come by where I work so you can pick up your paperwork for your storefront."
And tell her to meet him there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'll do that.
She just kind of sends back a K. Clearly she isn't thrilled about going there, but she's willing to. And we'll drop it off with Jeremy.
I'd send her a heart. I'd send her a little heart and tell her I'll make it up to her later.
She sends a heart back. She's pretty polite with Jeremy. Kind of in the you're a vampire and I don't know you well enough to be absolutely certain you're not going to eat me kind of vibe about her. As she gives you the papers.
I will thank her for the papers and not deliberately do anything to make that vibe worse.
Too bad she can't harvest herself. Yeah. She says, tell Miranda hi and then heads off.
Okay.
The papers say that basically the place is, owned by the bank, more or less. So it'll be a pretty straightforward, mortgage. The resources 5, you might be able to just buy that place flat out, honestly.
That's what the plan was.
Okie dokie. And yeah, you'll be able to do that and eat up your resources for the chapter.
Yep.
Alright. So Miranda's finishing working. You have paperwork that you finish. And you have the goal of figuring out if the Awakened are evolved with Kaylin and in what capacity.
I guess we can go talk to Mary. I mean, she has to deal with the Awakened, so maybe she's heard a rumor or something. Does Mary generally hang around Elysium?
Yeah, and most people have like a quote unquote business number for her in case there's any issues.
Okay. So we go ahead and figure off work, head to Elysium.
Okie dokie. 2 of you just waiting for her to be done with the work then?
Yeah.
I would have been filling out my paperwork.
Well, yeah. Sign here, initial here, sign away your firstborn here. Alright, so yeah, Miranda gets out of work, stops by the coterie house, and you all head to Elysium again. You do look out. She is already there in the main area, talking to a couple of the other Carthians. There aren't that many of them, so you probably recognize them well enough.
Okay, so I'll walk over to them.
Mary looks up at you as you head over and goes, "Yeah?"
I'm getting way better. Hi, Mary. Do you have a couple moments to answer some questions?
What kind of questions?
Questions about like the people that we're not so friendly with. Questions.
You mean the fucking wizards? What about them?
We're hoping. Have you heard any rumors about any of them like knowing somebody named Kaylin?
What the? She kind of like gives an exasperated eye roll, like, who the fuck talks about rumors with specific names? Like, yeah, I was talking to this guy Kalen the other day. All the fucking wizards are coming over to me and talking about him. Yeah. She's very clearly being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm sarcastic enough to notice sarcasm is, I appreciate her sarcasm, actually. Excuse me, they're trying to die.
Yeah, you need to know where any of their sanctums are, all their mysterious artifacts. I got a list of them they talked to me about.
Nope, just need to know if you knew if any of them knew Caitlin.
She kind of just, rolls her eyes and goes, "No, none of them fucking told me about anyone they know. Barely talked to them as it is. Last time I had to talk to that Sebastian fuck, I got out of there as soon as I could." And out of character Sebastian, if you didn't look it up, was the mage equivalent to her.
I guess we could talk to Sebastian. He probably have as much information as you do. Okay, thanks.
I don't think that's
Yeah, no.
Apparently, you guys can detect sarcasm from Mary, but you can't detect it from me. I'm hurt. Really.
It's more we don't fully trust you not to act on sarcasm.
She'd give him a wide-eyed and innocent look. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah, whatever. Go away.
We're going.
She waits for you to go before she goes back to talking to the others.
Tempted to give her a hug. Don't. Actually, she probably would. She'd run in really quickly, give her a hug, and then dart behind Charlie.
Oh, that was one of my notifications. Cool. I forgot I had a sound attached to those. That freaked me the fuck out.
It's probably from me following the channel.
Cool. Alrighty.
Yay, you follow the channel and
Alrighty. So, what do you guys do now? Hello.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Yes, you fulfilled that. I'll update my spreadsheet. What do you think?
okay, get back now. Hello?
What?
What?
I got kicked out of the call.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was making sure.
I didn't hear any of the noises that you got kicked out.
Yeah,
Me neither.
it just Skype decided it was done working for a second.
Skype's being weird. It won't let me actually look at the call right now. Like, I clicked on something else and it won't go back to that chat, but I'm still talking to you guys. It's very weird.
Yeah, like I said, I was like looking at the Twitch window, and then I went back to look at the Skype window, and it flashed blue and kicked me out of the call. And then it's just being weird.
Right. But anyway, yeah, they were just pondering what they want to do next.
I'm looking something up.
Oh no. So, how's everyone in the chat doing?
How many viewers do we have currently? 4. So us
If
and
you look at
Al.
the chat itself and the viewer list there, it has more than that.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure how
weird.
it...
I've been wondering about that myself.
I'm wondering, I don't know. Maybe it's like how many people are actually have the window focused or not. I don't know. I have no idea how Twitch actually calculates the viewers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Apparently, I should have just started at the top.
Honestly, Charlie does not have like anything that would be useful for this.
Let's see. Do I have any contacts or anything that's useful? Nope.
Thought one of you had some contacts.
I have contacts, but they're job related.
Right.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, we all have professional training contacts.
Let me see what my contacts for witches are again. Oh, hey, I have paranormal
You have what?
occult suppliers. Paranormal investigators. My contacts are a paranormal investigator and an occult supplier.
Well, do you want to try checking with one of them?
We'll check with the occult supplier first.
Okie dokie. I forget. Does contacts have a role in 2nd edition? I think it does for contacts. It's allies that does it automatically if you aren't looking for anything special. Here we are. Yep. Manipulation plus social skill roll depending on the method used. I imagine like manipulation plus streetwise or socialize in the case of occult suppliers.
Okay, which one do you want? I have both.
Probably streetwise would make the most sense here.
Okay. All right. Do I have any negatives at all?
Nope.
Oh, by the way, my charm has gone away. It's been 2 days.
Your what's gone away?
No, it has been 1 day. It's been 24 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, God damn it.
Goes away
Okay.
after 2
It'll go away
full
tomorrow.
nights.
God damn it. Okay.
It'll go away during day sleep tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I got 3 successes.
Well, I looked up what I was looking at, and just as I thought, I can't use divination to look into the past. So.
Oh yeah, not yet. Not really.
I'll be right back.
Okie dokie. Alright. Well, I guess I'll wait for her to come back before I give her the results of her contacts uses.
Mm-hmm.
Since they're her contacts and all, I guess that's polite.
Yeah.
Her contacts, for some reason, talk to you guys instead of her. Yeah. So, fun fact, this wasn't even purposely a Circle of the Crone game. They just all decided to make circle members.
And I don't even think we talked about it first. She just had.
Yeah, I think it was just happened that way.
I mean, it worked out well enough.
My bloodline kind of made the decision.
Right, because they're pretty heavily crone.
Though the other character plan that I had, if I hadn't been beaten to making a maquette, I would have been Invictus.
Cool.
Because I basically would have been a religious monk.
Huh. That would be handy.
Would have been a face character, too.
Nice. Oh, mine is all Falco's fault because I asked Falco tell me what I should play because I never played Vampire. So
I didn't tell you to play that. You asked about the bloodline. I sent it and said it's fine if you want to play that. All right. But anyway, since you're back, I can tell you the results of your contacts.
Yes.
So let's see. It was occult suppliers. You hear that there has been, in order to, to some of the houses in that area recently, like around here. What is it? Is it Control or Alt that moves you guys there? Neither of those is working. There it is. Shift click. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
So yeah, around that area, they delivered some fairly strange materials. I can't really tell you much about who exactly the client was, and of course you probably don't let even occult contacts know you're a vampire or ask about mages, so you just know that they were a bit odd in what they were asking for.
Okay. Like, odder than normal, or
Yeah, odd even for occult suppliers, because
Okay.
Most of what they would get to people are cruddy new age neo-pagan type stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas whoever this was, it was something that seemed almost legitimate.
Okay. So I would pass that on to to Jeremy and Charlie.
Guess I can mark the map a bit around this area.
Almost.
You're muted.
I could not be surprised, neither should anyone else.
She said it looks like a heart almost. That's what she had said.
Ah.
So we can go poke around in that area and see what's there.
Oh yeah, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
I'm going to kick Charlie in the shin lightly. If I kicked him hard, it would actually hurt him, but I'm just going to kick him lightly in the chin.
Okay. Yeah.
So like my little me and my ballet flaps are going to hurt you if I kick you in the shin. I mean, I guess she's not that little. She's 5'5", but still. I have no idea how tall Charlie is. So
I didn't actually decide for sure, but I did take the giant merit.
oh, so you're at least 6'9".
Yeah, I'm mid-6 at least.
Right.
Yeah, so me tiny compared to you, or
Yeah, with a dot of resilience.
Yeah, and me and my whole 2-string.
Yeah. 2 strength.
Mm-hmm.
Twice as strong as I am.
Wow, that's scary. Okay, don't.
I can lift you both quite easily then.
At the same time?
Yes.
Nice. Anyway, well, What do you want to do then? I mean, the other contact I have is a paranormal investigator. I could ask them.
I mean, I honestly have nothing. Going to check it out, I mean, maybe our best course of action. It's not a smart course of action or a safe course of action, but
None of you
maybe
took
our
common
best
sense
course
again,
of
right?
action.
What?
Nope.
I said
No.
none of you took common sense again, right?
Oh,
No.
No one ever does.
I never think of it.
Darcy had it.
That is true. It's not like Charlie is smart, though.
Right. All right. Well,
I think Jeremy's the smartest one in the group. Maybe.
I think Jeremy only has a 2 in intelligence.
Jeremy has a 3.
A 3? Oh, okay.
All right. So Jeremy and I are equal in intelligence. So, Jeremy, want to go poke into the area? See what's there?
Not really.
You have a better idea?
No.
What else is in that area, Falco?
Houses.
It's just completely residential. It's just houses,
Yeah.
farms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like basically housing area. Might be like corner store or 2, stuff like that. One thing to note is that there do tend to be a lot of abandoned buildings in this place. Like there, as you can see, for a place that has like 1,000 to 2,000 people at most, there's a lot of buildings. So a fair number of those are not in actual use anymore, and yet people keep building new ones.
It's because all the old ones are haunted.
Or at least have creepy feelings.
We like creepy feelings. Creepy feelings aren't a bad thing. All right. So, I mean, if Charlie and Jeremy don't want to go, I can text Leah and ask if she wants to go exploring with me.
Charlie would not let you go without him. He is against the idea, but if you go, he is coming with you.
I'm still going to ask you. I still probably would have taken, both of them said they didn't have better ideas. So I would text Leah. I'm like, hey, Leah, do you want to go exploring the potentially dangerous area with me?
She says that it sounds fun, but she's busy tonight.
What are you doing tomorrow? Well, no, never mind. I have plans tomorrow. Sigh. Come on, it'll be fun.
So you're heading
Raise
over there
an
then?
eyebrow.
Would we be able to wrap this up like pretty quick?
Getting
not
tired?
Melting.
Ideas on the best time, but definitely not now.
Yeah, we can wrap up if you guys are getting tired or whatever.
Yeah, we can figure out what we're going to do next time.
Yeah, we can pause with the cliffhanger of possibly going there unless you guys come up with a better idea before next session. Let me write that down real quick, and then we can figure out your guys' experience and such. Go to area where cult supplies are being delivered. Alrighty, so let's see. I already recorded, learned something new, and learned a new occult secret is being fulfilled. I recorded a beat towards gaining clout within the city since you're doing what the prince tells you. Let's see, do any of these others? I guess make a new friend. Kaelin's not exactly a friend yet, but you can have that as resolved, so I'll add that.
I have meet someone interesting.
You do. That'll work too. We'll fill that. Definitely didn't fight anything, didn't learn any new rituals per se. Did make a beat towards the progress of your cult. I'll give you a beat there.
Yay.
Alright. Let's see, anything else? Don't think you guys have done anything that needs detachment.
No.
Alright. So that being the case, you all get 4 beats.
Woohoo!
If you
So
had even
close.
one more, I could round it up to 5, but don't see anything else.
I'm gonna need to replace my aspirations, but I noted which ones need replacing, so.
Yep.
Add your total beats to my own tally. I don't think any of you guys have earned any blood beats.
Actually,
Let me double check.
did you get a, was it on a ritual that you got an exceptional?
No.
No.
No?
No, I didn't get any exceptionals.
Dramatic failures on discipline. No, that wasn't on the discipline itself.
Yeah, that wasn't on a discipline.
Exceptional, embracing, ghouling, revenant, exsanguating, frenzy, last vitae, drinking beyond capacity. Tassie, you didn't drink beyond your capacity with that person, right?
What is my capacity?
Well, you started
that out.
You started at full, which is 11 if you have 2 blood potency.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I only ever took what I had already spent, so I didn't go over that at all.
Okie dokie. Nobody joined the bloodline, gained discipline or rolled for detachment, so. Yep, no blood beats yet. Cool. So, yeah, that is the end of the session. If anyone is still watching, I will hopefully see you next time. It should be at the same time next week. So, yeah. I will end the stream